Happy holidays, people! Well, now that winter is actually officially here, I can finally talk about those new Weezer EPs that came out throughout the whole year. I was originally going to talk about them when they initially came out, but I wanted to wait and rank all of them because I think it would have been much easier for me to do so. This is the first time I'm going back to an artist I initially covered, adding new projects, and seeing where I think they'd land if I were to rank them normally. If you haven't already, please watch my original Weezer worst to best video to gain a better perspective on how I would rank these EPs in regards to their studio albums. So with that all of the way, let's start this ranking. From what I've seen, spring really did not help bring things on a good note. The overuse of the more nature type aesthetic can get really annoying on some moments, like the opening track, Opening Night. The sample of Vivaldi's Springs is actually really awful and really cheesy, but I think after that, the EP is actually somewhat okay. Angels on Vacation is extremely fine, and so is The Garden of Eden, which is actually simple as well, and I do think they do a good job of relaxing the listener after opening night, at least. The single A Little Bit of Love is decent, but it does feel a little annoying after multiple listens, as it can feel somewhat sickly sweet, but not in a great way. The last 3 tracks on this thing are actually pretty good. The sound of drums is actually really excellent, and I love the overall sound to it, and all of this love is just a little bit of love, but better. Wild at Heart is kinda epic, especially with the ending. The EP has its moments, but I don't think it did a good job grabbing a lot of people with this whole season's project, as future projects would entail. Autumn actually takes a surprising dance punk turn on tracks like I Can't Dance, Don't Ask Me, and What Happens After You, which are both legitimately great songs, and I think nail the aesthetic of dance punk well. There are some more middle-of-the-road cuts like Francesca, or even Get Off on the Pain, which actually has a pretty good chorus. I'm not a fan of the song Should She Stay or Should She Go, because it really doesn't fit the overall vibe of the EP, and I think lyrically it just kind of sucks, because it tries to be like a cute parody of Should I Stay or Should I Go by The Clash. I think my main issue with the EP is that it can be inconsistent in tone. I think we were all expecting a more acoustic type album, but even then, the style that it goes for in the beginning breaks apart. With all that said, I think the last track, Run Raven Run, slaps so hard. I love the epic feeling it has, which seems to be a common thing on the EPs, the way it closes out. The EP is so close to being good, but a couple of things just prevent it from me from fully enjoying it. But these next 2 are actually pretty good. Now we have the most recent entry on this list, and I was actually pretty excited about this one the most because winter is actually my favorite season. I think Weezer really nailed the winter aesthetic really well on this EP, with the opening track I Want a Dog, as it has this nice acoustic atmosphere for most of it, and then when the electric guitars kick in, oh, it's even better. The following tracks continue with the winter theme with Iambic Pentameter and Basketball. Lush moments contrasting with the more harsher elements of a Weezer song are typically present throughout most of the tracks. I do think that Dark Enough to See the Stars and Sheraton Commander somewhat drag the EP and really don't nail the aesthetic of it that well. I also think that these tracks can be a little clunky in their songwriting as well. I will say that the pairing of The One That Got Away and The Deep and Dreamless Sleep as the closing tracks are really, really good, especially the last song. I think that The Deep and Dreamless Sleep is probably my second favorite song throughout this whole project. Winter is actually pretty good and a great way to close the whole project. And by process of elimination, you can already figure out what my favorite EP is. Ironically, we go from my favorite season to my least favorite season in terms of like the actual season itself, not in terms of the EPs. I actually think this EP really nails the season vibe it was going for, being summer, throughout the whole thing. And gosh, this thing is just so much fun. The opening of Lawn Chair has a nice, cool, relaxing vibe to it despite the somewhat epic instrumentation. The moment continues with the single Records, which I surprisingly still hear on alternative radio stations, at least in my area at least. Blue Like Jazz is just another fun song, nothing really much else to say. The Opposite of Me is honestly the best song on this entire project. It has great lyrics, a warm instrumentation, and a fantastic chorus that just makes me want to jump and scream. What's the good of being good in Cuomoville are fine enough songs that aren't the best, but are just still good songs in general. But I think the ending of Thank You and Goodnight is such a great way to close this EP. The epic guitars just go all out at the end, and it's just really chaotic and fun. And yeah, this is kind of what I wanted Van Weezer to be, not gonna lie. I don't care if people think it sucks. It's fun, and I like it, and it's my favorite out of the bunch. Well, that concludes my Seasons ranking, and I hope you liked it. What are your thoughts on Seasons? Let me know in the comments below. Tell me how would you rank the EPs along with their studio albums. The next videos I'm going to try and make are going to be my favorite and least favorite albums of 2022. I listened to a lot of new music this year. It was pretty good, but like I said, there were some shitty moments there as well. Subscribe, like, stay tuned for my next uploads because I want to make those videos so badly, and I think it's going to be fun. Bye!
What's with these creepers hissing at Alex? Why did they all explode? What did we ever do to these mobs that gives them such hostile code?